For most of us, flying is pretty routine, right? You find your seat, buckle up, maybe watch a movie. But have you ever really stopped to think about what happens when that routine gets shattered by a medical emergency?
So let's get right into it. What really happens up there? Because it's not as rare as you might think. Believe it or not, a medical incident is reported on about 1 out of every 600 flights. And when you're that high up, miles above the ground, the entire rulebook for emergency care gets thrown out the window.
I mean, just think about that number. At 35,000 feet, there's no ambulance to call, no hospital just around the corner. You are literally in a sealed tube hurtling through the sky. In that moment, every second is critical, and the ability to react quickly is the only thing that matters. So, to really wrap our heads around this, we first have to understand why an in-flight emergency is such a uniquely challenging situation to begin with. And this is the absolute key. An aircraft cabin isn't just a room. It's this weird, pressurized, isolated little world. It creates a whole set of challenges you just don't find anywhere else on the planet. And here's where it gets really interesting, how all these challenges pile on top of each other. Okay, think about it. Limited space. That means trying to perform CPR in an aisle that's probably narrower than your hallway at home. Restricted medical resources. That means you've only got what's packed on board. That's it. And the cabin pressure? That can actually make things like breathing problems even worse. All this while you could be hours away from the nearest hospital. Okay, so we've set the scene, we get the environment. Now let's look at what's actually happening inside the cabin. How are these different emergencies sorted out? This table lays it all out perfectly. Up top, you've got the absolute most critical, life-threatening events. We're talking cardiac arrest. Then in the middle, you have serious issues that need immediate attention. But here's the surprising part. The most frequent ones are actually the minor ones. Things like someone feeling faint or lightheaded make up the majority of incidents, but they all have to be managed with care. And this really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? It shows the incredible range the cabin crew has to be prepared for. They have to be ready to handle everything from a full-blown cardiac event that needs a defibrillator to someone who just needs a sick bag and a kind, reassuring word. That's a huge spectrum. So who handles all this? Well, that brings us to the most important people in any in-flight emergency, the cabin crew. Just stop and think about that transformation for a second. 1 minute, they're serving you a drink, and the very next, they could be the first line of defense in a life-or-death medical crisis. They are trained to be the calm in the storm, making absolutely critical decisions when every single second counts. And they're not just winging it. They follow a very clear protocol, and it's a simple but incredibly effective process. Step 1, recognize the signs of danger. Step 2, respond. Fast, no hesitation. And step 3, do everything in their power to stabilize the passenger until the plane can land and a professional medical team can take over. Now, of course, the crew isn't working with their bare hands. So let's take a look inside their medical arsenal, the actual tools they have for doing first aid in the sky. First up, we've got the first aid kit, or the FAK. The easiest way to think about this is like the medicine cabinet for the plane. It's the go-to for all those minor issues we just talked about. Headaches, small cuts, things that need basic stuff like bandages, antiseptics, and aspirin. But then, you've got the emergency medical kit, the EMK. And this is a whole different beast. It's locked and loaded with more advanced gear. We're talking blood pressure cuffs, stethoscopes, and critical medications. This kit is specifically designed to be opened and used by a qualified medical professional. You know, that doctor, nurse, or paramedic who just happens to be on your flight. And finally, there's the Universal Precaution Kit, or UPK. This one is all about safety for everybody involved. It's packed with personal protective equipment, things like gloves, masks, and biohazard bags, to make sure that both the patient and the person helping them are protected from any potential infection. So, when you start to bring all these pieces together, it becomes crystal clear that safety in the air isn't about luck, not at all. It's about an entire system built on preparedness. This quote from our source material really says it all, doesn't it? In an environment where you can't just dial 911, preparation is, well, it's everything. It's the system, it's the lifeline that ensures the best possible outcome when you're facing the worst-case scenario. And that is the real takeaway here. When you understand the challenges, the protocols, and the tools they have on board, a terrifying moment of crisis suddenly becomes manageable. It becomes an opportunity. for the crew, and maybe even for fellow passengers to make a genuine life-saving difference. Which leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question to think about. The next time you fly, knowing what you know now, if that call goes out over the intercom asking if there's a medical professional on board, could you be the one to help?